Everybody out there, you're tuned in to 91.8 The Fan. You're in my corner, and I have a very special guest in the corner who could probably kick my butt. Would you like to unveil your identity to the masses out there?
This is Danielle Burgio, and I'm really happy to be here today.
And we're happy to have you on. I think this is going to be a really interesting interview because I very rarely get to talk to anyone who works in stunts at all.
It certainly is a exciting profession to have, and it's been really good to me, and I've really enjoyed my work. So I feel really lucky. I'm a lucky girl.
And now, was that the first thing you wanted to do, I'm assuming, as a little kid, or was it just general acting?
No, I had no idea I was going to end up as a stunt woman. I actually started as an actress from the time I was 5. I want to be an actor. And I was a pretty good dancer. So that's how I started. I went to New York and got onto Broadway and started my career as a dancer. And then I moved to LA because I wanted to get more into film and TV. And I thought, I want to put the dancing behind me. I want to act. And I started doing some work with film and television, and I met some stunt guys, and I was like, this is where it's at. This is cool. So it literally was like a spark of a thought in my mind, and it was like this door opened up, and I had an amazing opportunity. And I just said, yeah, I'm gonna check it out, and it happened very quickly. One thing led to the next, and just my career took off.
So you weren't intimidated at all.
Well, because of my dance background, I was really physical, and just because I had danced for a while, I knew I didn't want to do that anymore. So there was something really intriguing about the physicality of it, and there is a lot of acting in it as well. Because you have to sell things with your physical movement. So it was really enticing to me, and I, I have been intimidated many times on set. I get a call for something, and I'm like, "What am I doing? This is insane." But I kind of felt like, you know, the opportunities were just presenting themselves to me. I never really pursued that line of work as much as it pursued me, so I felt like it was happening for a reason, and I just kind of trusted that it was all going to be okay. And I thought, well, other people dive out windows and jump out of planes, and they're okay, so I'll probably be fine.
I've always wanted to jump out of a plane with a parachute, of course.
You should do it. It's really, really fun. That's something that I think anybody can do. When I was training, when I was getting my license, there were 80-year-old women and just all kinds of people doing it. They go tandem. And I really recommend that because it's just a great ride. You don't have to take on a lot of responsibility. And the guys that are doing that for a living, they are to be trusted. And the equipment is, these days, the equipment is just really fail safe. So if you have any desire, even if you don't, even if you have a fear of heights, I say go do it. Go jump out of a plane. It's an awesome experience.
Well, one thing that I've always wanted to do, and now that I'm actually at the age where I can apply for it because I turned 21 in March, we have a co-owner and his name is Zach, and I have forced him for like the past 2, 3 years studying up on like Amazing Race, and I'm like, we're doing this one day. One day we're gonna get on the show, and one day we're going to do all these physical things, and we're going to hate ourselves for it while we're doing it. But we're gonna look back, and it's gonna be amazing. So I can understand how, in a way, thrill seeking would be really fun.
Yeah, I highly recommend if you get the opportunity to do any of those things that, with the exception of bungee jumping, that's the only thing that I don't endorse. But the rest of it, yeah, go and do it. There's so much adventure out there. There's so many exciting things that I thought about doing before I became a stunt woman. And then when I became a stunt woman, I had the opportunity to do so many things that, great thrills, great adrenaline rides, great experiences. So there are a lot of opportunities out there just for the regular person. So do it.
Now, why don't you recommend bungee jumping? Is it because you're afraid like a wire will snap or it'll fling you back up? Or
Yeah, there's those cords. I mean, maybe it's changed now, but I know as of a few years ago, that it's hard to test the life of those cords. To know when they're expired. And if I'm doing it professionally, I trust that the gear and everything is really like safe and good. But it kind of scares me, the places where they have them, like, at the fair, and they're soliciting people, like, when they come out of the bar. I
Yeah.
just those are scary to me, the cords, because you just never know when the life of the cord. It doesn't like slowly go out; it just goes out.
Well, good to know in case anyone
But
was thinking of.
go jump out of a plane, definitely.
You're the first guest who's told my listeners to go jump out of a plane. I think that'll.
With a parachute and
Yes.
an instructor, a certified instructor, please.
And now, for some of the stunts, I would assume you only get one chance to do those.
Well, unfortunately, no matter how big the stunt is, they usually want at least two takes of it, because you never know if something's going to be wrong with the film. So, you get two chances a lot of times. A lot of the ones that you don't want more than one take at, you sometimes do 8 or 9, 10 times, depending on the director, maybe 25 times. You never know. And for me, that's the toughest part about doing stunts. People always say, "Oh, I want to be a stunt person. I can do that. I can throw my body down the stairs." Yes, but can you do it 15 times after you're already like really beat up and keep hitting the same, bones, or cutting yourself in the same place every time? That's where it gets a little challenging.
And then you have to actually not hurt yourself. That is the ultimate goal, I would think.
That is the goal, and for the most part, I think we get away with it pretty well. But it's the nature of the beast. Of course, you get hurt from time to time, even on the small things.
Well, have you ever had any serious injuries or broken bones or anything like that?
I have been really lucky, because I've seen a lot of friends of mine take some pretty gnarly falls and spills and end up in the hospital. But the worst for me was a broken rib, and lots of sprained everything, ankles, and a couple whiplash, and lots of bruises and cuts and that kind of thing. But only one broken rib.
Well, that's actually a good track record. I hope you keep that.
Me too, thanks.
And now you don't just do stunt work, you also have done voice work as well.
I've done a few games. I started doing just motion capture without the voice. And when I did Devil May Cry 4, they asked me to come and do the voice of Trish and Gloria. So that was a lot of fun.
And now, do you play any video games or had you heard of Devil May Cry beforehand?
Yeah, I've heard of it. I'm personally not a big gamer, but I like to watch my a lot of the stunt guys on set. They'll be playing all night long. Sometimes you have hours in between setups, so I like to hover over the shoulders and watch.
So now with video games, you actually have to do a lot of calls or grunts or things like that. Generally, because you're fighting each other.
Yeah,
Sadly, there's no "Let's Be Friends" video game out yet, but hey, maybe one day. Either
the
way,
romantic comedy video game.
yes, that would be nice. But either way, with the grunts and the battle cries and all that, does that ever strain your voice?
No, for me, it's so much fun, and it's such something refreshing that I don't usually get to do. I've done a handful of voice jobs, and I love them so much. I think when I'm when I'm fighting, when I'm doing some martial arts, or in any sort of fight choreography, I grunt a lot anyway. So it's pretty natural to me. I think the trickiest part is when you're in the recording booth. It's, you have to visualize the action so that then the grunts kind of come naturally. But my voice can take it.
Well, that's actually kind of interesting from your standpoint because you can watch like a fighting game or your character, kicking somebody's butt, and you can apply a more realistic sound to it because you actually kind of know how it would feel for the receiver, how it would feel if you threw somebody like that or what have you.
Yeah, I make some pretty crazy sounds when I'm fighting usually. Usually when we're filming something, I have to remind myself to try to be quiet, because, you kind of want to do it, and it's not always a good thing when they're filming. But yeah, in the booth, it's the other way around. You have to, for me, I just sort of imagine the fight choreography, or imagine throwing a big kick, or let it kind of grunt out organically.
Well, yeah, because in video games, we don't get to see the visual of you guys. We only get to see whatever they motion captured or whatever they animated. So it seems like they want to put a little bit of, I guess, fantasy into it by making it as big as possible, if that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah, they definitely like it a little bigger than life.
And now, in terms of projects, do you have any projects that you're working on now that you can talk about or anything coming up that you would like the listeners to know about?
Yeah, I have a few things. I mean, this past year I worked on The Amazing Spider-Man, which is coming out, I think, in July. I have a scene in that, of course. They're so confidential these days about everything
I know.
that I don't think I can say too much about it. But it's a scene with Peter Parker as he's kind of figuring things out. So you can look for me there. And then I went to Spain and I worked on The Dictator with Sacha Baron Cohen. I played one of his Virgin Guards. That's coming out in May. That was great fun. And I directed my first project. I wrote, directed, and produced a short film called Lucy Falls that I also star in. There's some stunts. It's more of an acting piece, but there's definitely some action and some violence. So my stunt skills came in handy on that. And so I'm just working on editing right now. That's been a really big part of my last few months.
Well, that must be a lot of fun to be able to not only see it from a director's chair, your own performance, because you have to be judgmental to kind of everybody.
Yes. That was a huge challenge. I have great respect for, these Clint Eastwoods and George Clooney's and all these people that actually direct, produce, and star in, I mean, I did it because we were like a low budget short film. I felt like I couldn't afford to hire anybody. But it was immensely satisfying and just a lot of work. And I had to take a new perspective on things, but it was incredibly. I learned so much. I always say it felt like Trinity in the Matrix, where they put that thing in the back of her neck and just download massive amounts of information. That's kind of what it was like for me. I had so much to learn so fast. So it was a great, really great experience.
Remembering that scene made me shiver. Why do you gotta do that?
I know.
I haven't seen those movies in so long, but I remember when I did see them the first time, I was like, owie.
I know. Well, the first Matrix really changed things for me because that was right about the time that I had just gotten the glimmer of an idea to that stunts were attractive. And when I saw the first Matrix, I thought I want to do this. And it was shortly thereafter that my career turned around, and then I ended up getting the opportunity to audition for the sequels, and I doubled Trinity for 2 and 3, which was probably one of the biggest highlights of my career. So, yay for the Matrix.
Well, I think that was one of the biggest trilogies of the early 2000s, wasn't it?
Yeah, the first one was in the 90s, and
Mhm.
then the sequels came out. We filmed in 2000. The second and third we filmed together. So yeah.
Well, I'm kind of curious. Did you ever get a chance to try the bending over with the bullets flying, just in your spare time? Because that was the move in like every movie after that for like the next 10 years.
I know. No, I didn't get to do that particular one. I got to do some running up the wall and some of that, but no bending.
Well,
Not on
maybe
that one
one
anyway.
day.
I've had to bend plenty of times, but not on that one.
Running up the wall. Do you have a harness on you? I'm assuming.
Yeah. You'd be amazed how many times they put a harness on you. Even sometimes for a fight scene, just for a little extra lift. They use harnesses a lot, and they make them now pretty streamlined, so you can fit them under just about. I had to wear one under some lingerie one time. So I mean, they can just tiny little harnesses that'll fit. Because that Trinity outfit, there was not a lot of room.
And I always heard they were really uncomfortable because they pull in places they shouldn't.
Are so uncomfortable. Everybody's like, "Oh, wire work seems like so much fun," and it is. I love it. It's actually one of my favorite things to do. But there's a great amount of pulling and pinching and chafing that comes with it. But
Well, I think for the listeners out there, we'll leave you with either that disgusting thought or that sexy thought, depending on your thing. So keep it tuned to 91.8 The Fan, and we'll be back with our guest in a little bit. Stay tuned to your favorite station where we play everything you want and nothing you don't.
Swan Dive. Hello, fanatics. Look at the fan. Now back to me. Now back at the fan. Now back to me. Sadly, you're not with me, but if you stop using MSN and Yahoo and change to our IRC chat, you could be with me. Look down. Back up. Where are you? You're in our IRC with the fans of things you like. Look in our chat. Now back at me. I have it. It's a mod kicking those two people you hate. Look again. The mods are now maids. Anything is possible when you use our IRC chat and not a messenger. I'm on a wolf's.
Hey, everybody out there, you're tuned in to 91.8 The Fan, and I believe my special guest is still alive. Are you alive?
I'm alive and kicking.
Yes, that's a good thing. I'm waiting for the one day where I ask that and somebody's not on the line, and I'm just like, oh, oopsie. But no, we were kind of talking a little bit behind the scenes, and I wanted to know for the listeners out there where they can keep up to date on what you're doing.
The best place is my Facebook page, just my Danielle Burgio public page. Whenever I have anything coming up, I keep that fairly updated. And then I also have a website, which is just danielleburgio.com, and that's got all kinds of like my stunt reel and videos and interviews and articles and that kind of thing there. So those are the two best places.
And now, can fans, send you messages or anything like that?
I love it. Yes, please. I love talking to the fans. I do answer my own emails, and so you can email me through info@danielleburgio.com, or you can go on the Facebook page, Danielle Burgio, and I'll be happy to talk to you.
Awesome. So in case I didn't ask anything that you guys want to ask, feel free to go bug her.
Please.
At least not obsessively. Don't get weird. Anyway, are there any events that you've gotten a chance to go to for either voiceover or anything like that?
Events? No, not really. I mean, I've just been, a guest at Comic-Con and things like that. Not like a panel guest, but just like a person like everybody else. I love those things. But in terms of from my work, I've done a lot of interviews, some radio interviews like this, and some talk shows on television. But that's pretty much been the extent of it.
Oh, well, hopefully we can see you at a convention, soon. That way, you can interact with the fans more.
Yes, I'm really hoping I'm going to make it to Comic-Con maybe this next year. There are some people affiliated with that that have approached me to. I'm not allowed to talk about it too much, but it's they're developing a project specifically for me. So that would be fantastic. It's been a big dream of mine to go sit at a panel at Comic-Con.
Very exciting. But you've at least gotten to walk around at Comic-Con and see like all the costumes and whatnot, correct?
Oh, I love it. Yeah. And I've had lots of friends that are there, promoting things. So it's a fantastic place. It's a crazy place. But I love it there.
That's one of the biggest of the big in terms of conventions. So I'm going to ask, your first time there, were you ever overwhelmed with how many people were there?
I had heard that it was pretty crazy, and I don't think you can quite understand it until you experience it. But for me, it was just exciting. Definitely not overwhelming. I mean, I understand how many fans are out there, especially for this genre. That's what keeps it going. I mean, it's all about the fans. So it's so exciting that they all come out and, gather in this one place. It's really, really fun.
Geeks tend to stick together, or at least we try.
It's certainly grown way beyond the geeks, but yeah, the geeks rule, and that's awesome.
And now, before we get any further in this interview, I was wondering if we could put you on the spot and ask if you'd be willing to participate in a 91.8 The Fan tradition.
Sure.
Basically, we ask...
I say sure, I don't even know what it is. What is it?
We ask every guest if they'd be willing to do a radio bump for us.
Of course.
Awesome. The trick of it, however, is that we do the takes live on air, so everybody hears it if you mess up.
Okay.
She's like, I can do this.
I can do it.
We just ask if you can say, my name is, you insert your name, I do this. You can say characters you've done, you're a stunt woman, you're an actress, whatever you want to put there. And you're tuned into 91.8, The Fan.
I can do that.
All right, so we're recording, so whenever you're ready, you can do it. Take one.
All right. Hey guys, this is Danielle Burgio. I'm actress, stunt woman. And you're tuned into 91.8 The Fan. See, you put it in my head. You put the blank in my head and it's stuck. All right, take two.
Okay.
Hey guys, this is Danielle Burgio, actress, stunt woman, and you are tuned into 91.8 The Fan.
Perfect. Look at that. That wasn't so hard. Just a little scary at first. I think you're the first guest who's ever screamed when they got it wrong, though.
It's so funny because I was like, oh, that's easy, no problem.
Well, see, usually we have people like who mess up the numbers or they blank out on what to say, but I've never had somebody squeal or scream.
I'm glad I'm the first one. That's
yes,
good.
you get to be the first.
I'm a screamer, you know, falling down that 90-foot hill, I'm screaming.
Is there anything else you'd like to tell the listeners out there?
No, just thanks so much for tuning in. I really appreciate this opportunity to talk to everybody, and I'm really flattered that you asked me to be here.
And we're happy that you were here because this was a lot of fun, and it's so nice to talk to a girl sometimes. I always get stuck with the guys, and I'm like, why?
More girls, girl power.
But thank you so much. And for anybody out there that missed any of this interview, don't fret. You can find it on the website within the next few days. So keep it tuned to 91.8 The Fan. Everything you want and nothing you don't.